It is Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. Glad to be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about on each of those levels. Wade, how's your Thursday?
Thursday's off and running, partner. Good to be with you. Good to be with all of our Main Street Sports Today audience. And yeah, things are happening. It's been a busy day, and I went into the belly of the beast, as it were, known as Pulaski Walmart a little bit ago, and lived to tell about it. But man,
congratulations!
There's some desperate folks right now, and I've been in that situation before, and I saw some looks that I hope I don't have to wear again, because it's getting close out there.
If they're desperate now, just wait. It's still just the 19th. I mean, there's a lot of damage that can be done here over the next 6 days. So hey, get on out there and get it done and get out of there. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun today. In our second hour, we are going to visit with David Teal of the Virginian-PILOT up in the Hampton Roads area of Southeast Virginia, checking in on Norfolk State's newest football coach, and really looking forward to it. David Teal is a 15-time Virginia Sports Writer of the Year, as awarded by the National Sports Media Association. So when this guy gets his hands on something, it's pretty well the thing. So even though Norfolk State hasn't announced, it's just a formality. Michael Vick is their new football coach. And again, David Teal has been in that area forever, since Michael Vick was playing high school ball. So really looking forward to visiting with him in the second hour. In our next segment on Coach's Corner, we will be joined by Lipscomb girls basketball coach Becky Starks. The Lady Mustangs off to an 8-0 start under the former Hickman County girls basketball standout, and looking forward to visiting with her. And bonus coverage. Here in a few minutes, we'll be joined by Teresa Walker to help us talk about our top story. We won't divulge our top story just yet, but T's going to help us break down exactly what it all means, both locally and possibly nationally. So again, looking forward to all three of our guests, looking forward to our show. We'll be talking little Titans. We'll be talking a little college football. Probably should do that. Some NHL action. The Preds get back on the ice tonight. There's plenty to get to. And again, it is Throwback Thursday. At the top of the second hour, we will throw it back to our conversation from earlier this week with Ryan McGee of ESPN and the SEC Network. And if any of y'all are heading to Columbus for this weekend's festivities, Ryan might have some tips on how you can stay warm, because everybody that we've talked to this week has concurred. It's going to be cold in Columbus, Ohio, the third weekend in December.
Bundle up, baby.
Yeah. But bundle up. But again, Ryan may have a tip for you. Check it out. So that's where we're at. That's what we've got going here for the next couple of hours. I guess we may as well get on into it, Wade, with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Buckle up, boys and girls. The rundown is off and running on this glorious Thursday. Girls basketball action from last night. Couple of scores to give you. We start with Clarksville, who defeated Clarksville Northwest 55-11. Good win for Clarksville over their rival there. 53-50, much closer game as Springfield downs Kenwood last night in girls basketball action. On the boys' side, Clarksville Northwest bounces back and salvages that split in the doubleheader, defeating Clarksville 63-49. Springfield caps the sweep. Maybe this is right, maybe it's not, but I have the score listed as the exact same, 53-50. Talk about two nail-biters potentially there. Springfield, however, does edge Kenwood in both boys and girls action. Speaking of women's basketball, let's go to the college ranks. Last night, it was Lipscomb all over Oglethorpe. 113-38 was your final there. And a nice little win for the Lady Vols, who defeated Memphis last night, 90-75. Again, Tennessee's offense continuing to thrive.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, though, before we go any further, Tennessee really had to work for that one against that now 2-8 Tigers team. Memphis gave them everything they wanted. Kim Caldwell's got a lot to coach off of after that 15-point win.
Good win for Tennessee. Maybe a little closer than some would have liked, but a win is a win is a win. Men's basketball scores from last night. Ohio, that's the Bobcats. They defeat Austin Peay 78-58. And Vanderbilt, not much of a struggle versus the Citadel as the Commodores turned them back last night. 105-53 was their men's basketball final.
High school basketball tonight. Doubleheader action beginning at 6 with the girls. Montgomery Central travels to Hollow Rock Brewston. Franklin Classical is at Cornersville. Dixon County goes to Creekwood. Hampshire hosting Lewis County. Fairview is at Harpeth. Rockvale hosts Eazell Harding. Ross View is at West Creek. In girls basketball action today, we've already got one final as Oakland defeated South Gibson 47-43. Clay County of Kentucky is at Watertown at the bottom of the hour. Also, Loretto takes on Cookeville. At 4 o'clock, Harrison County of Kentucky faces Harpeth Hall. Lord Bodetort, of Virginia takes on Station Camp at 4. 6 o'clock starts for St. Cecilia Academy at Davidson Academy. Also at 6, Riverdale is at Eagleton Academy over in East Tennessee. Centennial has a game at 6. Don't know who they're playing. Kenwood takes on Trinity Christian at 6:30. At 7, Hopkins County Central of Kentucky faces Liberty Creek. Also at 7, Pineville of Kentucky faces Nashville Christian. Spring Hill is at Cornersville at 7:30. Culleoka takes on Shelbyville at 7:30.
Let's go to boys basketball, game that'll get underway here in just a matter of moments. Kenwood taking on Jackson Christian. 2:30, your listed start time there. At 4 o'clock, Culleoka versus Collinwood. 5:30, we'll see Corbin, Kentucky versus Loretto. Faulkner, Mississippi versus Watertown. That game also slated for 5:30. Final 5:30 start tonight. It's Jumpertown. That's out of Mississippi, folks. Taking on Nashville Christian at 8 p.m. tonight. Page will be at Oak Ridge, and Perry County Central out of Kentucky will take on the University School in Nashville. That game actually gets underway at 8:30. Women's basketball schedule for tonight. Doubleheader actually listed. TSU is at Southern Indiana. 5 p.m. is your listed start time. ESPN Plus is where you can see it. Vanderbilt will be on the road at Dayton tonight. Game gets underway at 6. Also can be seen on ESPN Plus. Another doubleheader to tell you guys about. Trevecca will be at Valdosta State down in Georgia at 5 p.m. start time tonight. Men's basketball, standalone men's games tonight. Lipscomb at MTSU and UC Irvine at Belmont. We talked about them a lot on the show yesterday. 2 really good games, 2 eerily similar start times, both at 6:30. Both can be on ESPN Plus. Break out the multi-screens to catch out some local hoops tonight. Should be 2 really good contests involving 3 of our local squads. NHL action tonight, a sports smorgasbord for you here as the Penguins will be at Bridgestone Arena. Puck drop is at 7 o'clock as the Preds play host to the Penguins. Can see it on FanDuel Sports South. Also at 7, the Warriors will come to the FedEx Forum over in Memphis. That game again gets underway at 7, and you can see it on FanDuel Sports South. And if NHL or NBA aren't your cup of tea, you do have Amazon Prime for your Thursday night football action tonight. Big AFC West showdown as the Chargers play host to the Broncos. That game kicks off at 7:15 p.m. That brings us whole on our schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your Thursday rundown.
Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And, you know, we have some pretty significant stories on here from time to time. This one is one of the more significant situations that I can recall us getting the good fortune to discuss. And to help us do so, we welcome the queen of Tennessee sports media, Teresa Walker of the Associated Press, because Teresa has an article up. Headline: Vandy quarterback Diego Pavia wins injunction allowing him to play D1 football in 2025. Now, Diego Pavia transferred in here from New Mexico State prior to this past season, won the starting quarterback position at Vanderbilt after leading New Mexico State past Auburn, among other folks, last year. This guy has been a transformational signal caller in a single season at Vanderbilt. Led the Commodores to a win over Alabama, among other things, this year. And now he's going to get a second year because of his time that he spent at the junior college level. Now, Teresa, tell us what this means, both for Diego and for anybody else who has played or will play junior college athletics.
For right now, it applies to Diego Pavia. The statement from his attorneys who are, went to Vanderbilt Law School, let's put it this way. If you're going to compete in SEC sports, it helps to have a very talented law school. And, as his attorneys pointed out in their statement, this is limited ruling to Diego Pavia. But guess what? Other attorneys who have read it, if others aren't filing their lawsuits as we speak, they're certainly consulting attorneys. Former Titans and NFL player Sean Smith was joking on social media that JUCOs, go run, get you some extra time, and that's the thing. Diego Pavia, like many college students, benefited from the NCAA giving. 2020 was just a bonus year. Because of the pandemic. But the problem is, and as the judge during the hearing on December 4th pointed out, and I was in the courtroom for that hearing, he pointed out that, when he was at the New Mexico Military Institute, that JUCO, they were playing prep schools that, so prep schools could play junior colleges, but those guys can go from prep school, say, to West Point, and that doesn't count against their NCAA eligibility. So, from the start, and the NCAA tried to file something last week to add to their arguments, and essentially the judge just kind of swatted it down. I mean, you could just tell how skeptical the judge was of the NCAA arguments in that courtroom, in that 2.5-hour hearing, because it was almost like having, flies going at his boom, 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 boom. King Kong on the Empire State Building, knocking down planes. I mean, it was like, you could tell his tone was skeptical. And then to read the order that came with the injunction, falls flat. He was very clear that, some of their arguments and the reason he gave the injunction to Diego Pavia was on the likelihood of winning at trial. That's how you win an injunction. Is your argument good enough that if we go to trial, and the judge asked on December 4th, two things: when's the portal window close, and how quickly could you be ready for trial? And, this decision is perfect for Vanderbilt because, yes, Diego Pavia was on the practice field at least 2 days ago. You could see him on video for Vandy football at practice. But, and he made it very clear, his ecstatic reaction and his appreciation for his attorneys on social media. But that's the thing. This is for him. That said, picture the scene from Game of Thrones as the guy pulls his sword at the hordes approaching. The NCAA has been trying to say, well, junior colleges aren't us, but their clock is ticking because they've been playing. And it's like, you can't have it both ways. and that's the thing. You can't say, well, your clock is started, but it doesn't start for prep schools. It doesn't start for certain military institutes or prep schools and things like. I mean, how many basketball players have we seen that spend a year at a prep school? IMG, anybody? And then suddenly they go to college. So it's like their clock. And as the judge pointed out, their rules have been evolving. He remembers when, freshmen were not allowed to compete. and then the red shirt rule. And when they pointed out in the hearing that you could redshirt this season, and if your team's in the playoff and goes to the title game, guys, you could play 9 games and still get a redshirt season under NCAA rules. To say he was surprised at that, I'll just say this. I walked out of there thinking he's going to win this injunction. It's just a matter of when. And, the NCAA, and it's like, and I'll joke. I've covered Vanderbilt since 1992. And when the NCAA attorney said Vanderbilt will get another quarterback, I was sitting there thinking, not like Pavia. I'm sorry. There's a reason why until October, was it 1st, when Vanderbilt beat Alabama, they had been 0-60 before that day against AP top 5 teams. And the judge's opinion that came with the ruling noted that, those historic wins. And it's like he has been a game changer. Clark Lee issued a statement. He's happy. Now they still have to, Vandy, show him the money. He's expecting at least $1 million this next year. And we know that Vanderbilt has deep pockets, and it's going to be a little tougher scheduled in 2025. They've got to go to Alabama and things like that, but Auburn's coming here and things like that. So they get a chance. Clark Lee gets a chance if the NIL, and I'm presuming they get the NIL deal done, but imagine this. Vanderbilt is going to have Pavia in this wild, wild west of ever-changing, evolving rules. And I cannot wait to see what happens. They get a chance to build on this. They've already got a running back, I think it is, coming in from New Mexico State, come join Diego.
Why not, right? Teresa, I am going to ask you this, though. This is a dumb question, but I feel like I'm going to frame it in a serious way. From a legal standpoint, is Pavia bound to stay at Vanderbilt, or is he based? I mean, we all are assuming that he's going to return there, but is he a free agent now, essentially? How does this work?
Well, that's the thing. The ruling made very clear, whether it's at Vanderbilt or any other Division I program. Now, Vanderbilt plays their bowl game. Lord, I'm blanking. I'm focused on the Liberty Bowl on the 27th, but their bowl game, if I'm remembering correctly, is before the portal closes on the 28th. So, and in the statement from the attorney last night, that's like he's wanting to be back at Vanderbilt. He wants to play for Clark Lee and Jerry KEEL and Tim Beck. Anchor Trust, come on down. Let's make a deal, baby. It was the way I took the statement from his attorneys. And that's the thing. It's like now, they got, hopefully they're working out that money. So yeah, the 27th is also the Liberty Bowl. There's a lot of bowl games that day. And I mean, shoot, West Virginia played Memphis on Tuesday night, lost to Memphis, who has won 5 straight bowl games. But, the word was that West Virginia didn't pay their NIL money to players until after the bowl game. Why? To make sure that they stuck around for the bowl game. So, for everyone saying guys are opting out. And at the Liberty Bowl, the Texas wide receiver that, Texas Tech was his 3rd stop. He's already declared for the NFL. Well, he's prepping for the NFL. He's played 6 years. It is kind of time to go yet, but he's not going into the portal. Arkansas has got, I'm going to need a chart to figure out who's going where, who's left. I've asked Kyle Parkinson, who used to be at Vanderbilt, do you got a depth chart? You got some game notes? Who's coming, who's going, who's still playing? Because they play on Friday. Could they be facing a similar situation? And, that's the thing. It's all about the bidding. And the one thing in that statement, while they, let's just put it this way. He also made clear, Diego Pavia made very clear that while the judge said you can go anywhere, Division I, if you transfer portal, that's fine. You get another year. But his statement did say how much he loves and is wanting to stick with Jerry KEEL and Tim Beck. So that relationship they know how to best use Diego Pavia.
Right.
So I think it's just a matter at this point of recognizing the attention, the publicity. I mean, come on. Vanderbilt was a joke on SEC shorts before Diego Pavia. Now suddenly they've got their own character, with the crown and the cape, and he was there for the South Carolina game. I mean, for the free publicity alone, he should be, they should be adding some numbers to whatever they're talking about for 25.
I agree.
Yeah. While this applies strictly to Diego Pavia, it does set a precedent, does it, from a legal standpoint, right, Teresa?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things. The NCAA is expected to appeal, but the NCAA is expected to appeal in the Tennessee Virginia AG suit. So now, while the order itself says it's limited to Diego Pavia, and in his seeking the injunction, he said, "I'm seeking this for me." It does create legal precedent, because why? Well, the NCAA is trying to operate under rules that existed before Alston, before, O'Bannon, before all these legal cases that we've just seen come against them over the last decade. And you can't go back in time and wind back that NCAA clock to a different area. So that's the challenge. And that, so yeah, I do expect, the herd's coming. JUCOs, hey, find your lawyer. And yes, our people can get left behind. Not everybody's going to be going D1. But guess what? Not all D1s end up in the NFL. And that's just the way life is.
There we go. Teresa Walker of the Associated Press joining us for our top story. Diego Pavia gets another year of eligibility. Expected to be at Vanderbilt, but stranger things have happened as well. Teresa, we appreciate you taking some time with us, and we will catch up with you.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. And
thank you, Teresa.
I can't repeat what he said, but
no.
Yeah.
We turned though. Absolutely. Yeah.
We all turn.
Absolutely.
Danny.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
When we come back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, it'll be Coach's Corner, and we've cornered Lipscomb girls basketball coach Becky Starks. The Lady Mustangs off and rolling. Stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios with Coach Starks after this. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Well, we went all out for you this year, didn't we, little girl? Yep, we got you what you wanted with all the bells and whistles.
A brand new car?
Let's go check it out. Come on. We're here.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the garage. I got a car.
Yep, let's get in here. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar, got your 18 SEER heat pump with the ultraviolet home treatment system.
I cannot believe it. Thank you.
Yes! Give the gift of clean air this year. Merry Christmas from the Busy Bee family.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
He shoots, and he scores!
Well, welcome back into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We are here in the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. It is time for Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley. Eat, play, party. And we are pleased to have with us on Coach's Corner Lipscomb girls basketball coach Becky Myatt. Again, the Lady Mustangs off to an 8-0 start and have had a few days off, getting ready for some big goings on this weekend. But Coach Stark, we appreciate you taking some time with us today. Hope we're not cutting into practice time, because we certainly don't want to mess up the good thing that y'all have got going on down there right now.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's exam week. We wrapped up exams today, so we were able to get in an early practice and get them out of here, and they are ready to be done with that part of the week. I know.
Yeah, I was always ready to get done with those. Breathed a sigh of relief to survive them typically. So yeah, 8-0 right now, Coach. What do you like? How did y'all get here, and what do you like about what you've done to this point?
It's been a fun start. It's real early, so but we're enjoying this group. This is one of those competitive groups that I have coached, and hardworking. I think their preparation individually, we've brought a lot of talented kids together, and they are buying into team right now. And so we're playing together, we're competing, we're preparing on their own in practice, and they're seeing a little bit of success from it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Saw you guys briefly over at Ezel Harding over the Thanksgiving break, and you guys handled a couple of traditionally good teams pretty handily. Down Livingston Academy 66-47 on that Friday, and then Clark Range 57-30 on Saturday. Couple of notable coaches, Leslie Smith Riddle for Livingston, and obviously Lamar Rogers for Clark Range. Anytime you get a chance to kind of sharpen your knives against those coaches and those teams, you feel better for it, win or lose, but you got the dubs on top of everything else.
Absolutely. Both of those two are incredible coaches. Of course, Lamar Rogers is a legend. He's been around for years. I don't know if anybody will do what he's done. So much respect there. And the same thing for Leslie. She's been a great coach at Livingston. And just an honor when you get to step on the court with those types of coaches. Knew their teams would be well prepared, knew their teams would be tough, would play really, really hard. And they did that. We were fortunate to come out with the wins, but I thought it was good for us, because they're going to do things to make your teams better.
In addition to the competition that you guys have played, Coach, what's one thing maybe internally, or maybe one or two things internally that you have been either most proud of or most intrigued by about your team thus far to this point?
Well, we've made a really intentional focus this year to try and get better at some areas we didn't think we were great at last year, and some areas that we thought even in summer ball we needed to improve. And I think one of those was rebounding. They're probably so tired of hearing me preach rebounding and us focus on that in practice, because that's not always fun practice drills. But our girls have bought into that. They are pursuing the ball with so much effort and so much attitude on every possession. And I think that's made a huge difference for us. The rebounding would be one. And I think just being better on the defensive side of the ball. We're trying to get better defensively. I think we have a lot of kids that can score the ball, a lot of shooters, a lot of ways to score the ball, but we've got to sit down and guard. And so this year, that's another thing. We've spent a lot of time in practice in the old shell drill and getting down guarding. And those things are not real fun, but our kids have embraced it because they want to win. And so I love that about them.
It sounds like you're instilling toughness, if nothing else, Coach, because you just mentioned rebounding and defense. And yeah, they're not the flashiest, but man, talk about trying to send a message to your team, it sounds like.
It is. And I think that's, those were things we had to get better at. I don't know that we were real tough at times last year. And I don't know that we were super tough this summer. And so we went in early and we said, these are the things we think you have a chance to be really good, but you got to buy into these. And the thing that's made me the most proud is even those things are not the fun ones, they're embracing them and they're going, let's do it because we want to win.
Lipscomb girls basketball coach Becky Starks, in her 5th season at the helm of the Lady Mustangs, led this team to a state championship game appearance in your 2nd season, Coach. What's got to take place for y'all to get back to Cookeville, not Murfreesboro, Cookeville this year?
Sure. Yeah, that was a really fun year. We had a good group of kids that really knew how to be a team. And that's probably one of the other pieces that we've talked about a lot this year, alongside with those two things we just mentioned, defending and rebounding. But if we can do it together, you know, our team motto is better together. And we believe that if we can make the extra pass, we can pass on the good shots for the great shots. We can cheer for our teammates even when we're having a bad day. We can pull for each other and really don't care who gets the credit, but we just do it together. I think we'll be able to have some fun this year and do some things.
Coach, I'm always fascinated by coaches who have played the game at a high level and then come back to the high school ranks. As Becky Myatt, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, did you win a state championship at Hickman County?
I did, 1997.
Okay, all right. You know, how, having had the success that you had as a player both at Hickman County and at Ole Miss, you know, I don't know how much street cred necessarily it buys you at this point with these kids, but how easy or how hard is it for you to put yourself in their shoes necessarily?
Sure. Yeah. I would say that street cred has run its course. I'm old now. So I don't know that that's doing a lot for me, but I can remember being in their shoes and I know what they're experiencing and I know what their days are like. And so I'm able to put myself into that perspective. You don't forget those things, right? And so I think sometimes looking at it from their perspective goes a long ways, and just understanding what they're trying to do, what you've done. And I think you can relate in those types of situations.
Again, won a state championship at Hickman County playing for the infamous Barry Workton, and still got into coaching anyway.
Yeah, he's one of the best. And the fact that he's still at it and doing a great job, I think he's got more energy than the young folks out there. So he was a great coach to play for. Loved every minute of it. He was tough on us, but he loved us and he knew what he was doing, even when he was really young with us. But he's doing a great job still to this day. And I've had a lot of really great coaches over the course of my playing career. I've coached under some great coaches too. And I think that's all that pours into you and it creates the coach that you become. You form it from those experiences. And so I wanted to coach because I love the experience I've had with mine.
Played for some great coaches, coached under some great coaches, live with a great coach. Kevin Starks, the boys basketball coach at Lipscomb. I mean, how do you feel like all of those experiences have helped you kind of informed your coaching approach?
Sure. I think all of those things pour in. And as coaches, we love to hear what other coaches are doing. Tell me how you handle this situation. What are you doing in practice here? How do you handle this with your program? We're constantly learning. And so I think that there's tons of opportunity with that. The more coaches you're surrounded around, and husband and wife coaches, we got 2 kids at home. So honestly, there's not a whole lot of coach talk time always. But it is nice to have someone who understands what you're dealing with, what you're going through, to bounce some ideas off. We like to say we're pretty opposites. I think we balance each other out. His style and mine is not really similar, but we can give each other really great perspective.
I wonder what
I'm curious how much rebounding and how much defense is he preaching to his team right now is what I'm wondering, Coach.
That's a great question. I don't know. I'm not stepping into those practices. So.
Okay.
I'm wondering what the conversations are regarding practice time and getting the gym and that kind of thing. How does that work?
Are you implying the working together piece?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
We're lucky. We have 2 gyms at Lipscomb. So that gives us a little opportunity. But honestly, we've worked together for a long time. We were together at Harding Academy, been together at Lipscomb, and it works out fine for us. We make it work pretty good. So
I like to give Kevin a hard time. He's a great dude.
He needs it. It's good for him.
Absolutely. So, Coach, you guys play next tomorrow against Huntsville at the Holiday Hoop Fest down at Independence. And I'm not sure if the schedule I'm looking at is right. Is that just a one-off before you guys go into your Christmas break, or are there multiple games at Indy this weekend?
Indy's having a classic out there. So we'll play Friday and Saturday. We'll get a couple games in. Huntsville, I think, is actually maybe not coming now. I think we're going to play Kirkwood tomorrow. And then we've got East Hickman on Saturday. So couple to get us going, and then we'll take a break at Christmas, and we're actually going to Gatlinburg. So we're going to go over and play some East Tennessee teams, some out-of-state teams, and maybe have a good time at Dollywood if it's not too cold.
You are a very brave individual going to Gatlinburg over the Christmas holidays. I had to do that for a wrestling tournament back in another life, and give yourself plenty of time.
Absolutely. The traffic is already stressing me.
Yeah. Yeah. It won't be pretty. It won't get any better. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But Becky Starks, coach of the undefeated Lipscomb Lady Mustangs, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley Eat, Play, Party. Coach, we appreciate your time. Be sure and tell Kevin we said hey, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Coach.
Before we get out of this segment, we need to give out some awards. Our Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. Besides the military, there is no better or more important team building exercise than athletics. Custom Stone Handlers invites you to get in the game, and the Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week is the Santa Fe boys basketball team. Went 3-0 this past week with wins over Fayetteville, Frank Hughes, and Perry County. That middle game being a matchup of a couple of state tournament participants from last year at the Class 1A level over in Murfreesboro. So the Santa Fe Wildcats 3-0 last week. Our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week, and our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week from said Wildcats, Alden Slaughter, their senior guard forward.
Everything,
absolutely. Recent Volunteer State Community College signee Alden Slaughter averaged 31 points and 9 rebounds in those 3 victories for Santa Fe. Had 33 points against Frank Hughes, including the team's final 18 points in a 50-47 win. Had 39 points the following night in that win over Perry County. This just in, Alden Slaughter is a scorer, or as they like to say, he's a bucket. Right, Wade?
Walking bucket.
There we go. Absolutely. Alton Slaughter, our TOA Athlete of the Week. Congratulations to him and to his Santa Fe Wildcat Boys basketball team. Again, our Custom Stone Handlers in to Win Life Team of the Week. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company studios and continue Throwback Thursday, let's talk a little NFL. Stay tuned.
Do you wanna be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you wanna taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We are in the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And at the top of the next hour, which will be our next segment, we will throw it back to a recent conversation that we had with Ryan McGee of ESPN and the SEC Network, as we all anticipate Saturday night's matchup between Tennessee and Ohio State in the opening round of the college football playoff. It's always fun talking to Ryan McGee. So look forward to that in the next segment. Right now, though, let's talk a little professional football. And Brian Callahan made a number of things plain at yesterday's media availability, but one of them was that Mason Rudolph will get the start for Tennessee at Indianapolis this weekend. That's as in Mason Rudolph and not Will Levis at quarterback. Again, I guess for all of the reasons that we've discussed all this week, giving the team the best chance to win, Levis really looked like he kind of cratered this past weekend in that loss to Cincinnati. And for everybody that's talking about tankathon and that kind of thing, this team is not. And Mason Rudolph gives you a better chance to win right now.
Gives you a better chance to win for definitely what we saw last week. And even though we've only seen a limited dose compared to Levis of Rudolph, he provides a little bit more stability and consistency. May not have anywhere near as high of a potential ceiling, but it certainly feels like his floor is a lot higher at the moment. And for a team that's trying to win games, and for a team that is trying to save face in the division, at least for these next couple of weeks, it seems like he's going to be your guy. I am curious, what happens if he has a bad game? Callahan basically insinuated, hey, this is not a long-term discussion. You assume when he says long-term, you mean, next year. But I mean, I'm curious what happens going forward. And that's kind of really all that the Titans have got going on at the moment, because outside of the guys that are, maybe on the fringe, trying to get some good tape, whether it's for Nashville or their next stop, there's not a lot going on in terms of high-profile storylines coming into this week or the next couple.
I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to in this ball game is whether or not they came up with any offensive plays for Tavondre Sweat.
Man, Derek Hungry, as he is known in the streets.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, in a different season, and maybe there will be a spot. We saw Jeff Simmons even as recently as 2 weeks ago out there for some offensive plays. Maybe there's a spot to sneak our guy in there. He will single-handedly break the internet if he somehow got in a goal line package and ran one in, or caught one, I suppose.
What if you put him and Big Jeff back there?
I mean, like I said, if this was a team that was 11-3,
you could get away with it.
You're up on the Colts. You could still, I think, probably get away with it, considering they are as bad. If they're middle of the road, it probably is a little too risque, I think, for fans. But I don't know that we'll see that. But, man, that would be fun to think about.
That would be fun to think about. Again, Titans at Colts Sunday. Titans going in 3-11. But, I hesitate to say this, but the Colts are not great, even at 6-8. And the Colts quarterback situation is not great. Anthony Richardson threw for 172 yards in their loss to Denver this past weekend. I mean, 17 of 38. That's not good. And if the Titans weren't 3-11, you would feel like this is a game that they've got a chance to go and win. I don't know that that's the case, but Indy's not good.
Yeah, Indy's not good. I mean, they went through this very similar situation in terms of, do we start him? Do we sit him? What do we got? What do we maybe not have? And we saw the Colts kind of a couple weeks ago, push their chips in the middle towards maybe making a run at the division or a potential playoff berth. And, man, it's got to be frustrating as a Colts fan, because they were right there kind of in the thick of things if they had won a game or two here and there. And instead that goes against them. And now they're kind of just like, well, where do we go now? And the Titans have been in that situation in years past. There's obviously franchises every year that are in that situation, but it's kind of got to be a weirdly frustrating feeling knowing you kind of went for it, you didn't get it, and now you're kind of just in the middle of blah, so to speak.
Right.
If the season were to end today, the Colts would pick 12th. Not to say you can't find gold. I mean, there's always gold to be found, but especially in the first round. But, I mean, picking 12th, doesn't just really excite you. So it's almost like we saw with the Titans. Do you want to be kind of just the best of the mediocre, or do you want to really go for it and be the best of the wofuls? And again, it's all easy for us to say as, media and fans and whatnot. These guys are out there are putting it on the line every Sunday.
Mediocre, maybe. Woeful, maybe. Soft, no. Brian Callahan refuses to hear that, and did so in a decisive and profane manner yesterday when somebody brought it up during his media availability. He was asked how he would respond to people thinking that the 3-11 Titans are a soft team mentally and physically. And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who has been involved in a number of media sessions, I just don't know if I could ask that question, but kudos to whoever did and to the response that it got. Callahan said, one of the things mentally that's been really impressive about this team is the way that they keep fighting, and it's insulting to say that the results are because the team has not played hard. And if you Google Callahan and soft, you can get more detail on the response, but we're not going to go into it here because, again, it is, and I'm no prude, but it's pretty profane. I'm a little proud of Callie for his response, actually. But yeah, that's, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're looking at. So I'm not going to stand for anybody calling this football team soft. That was after everything else. So
crazy, right?
You know,
And this
I don't know. I mean, you can be bad, and I don't think anybody would argue that they have been bad, or I don't think anybody would try to refute the fact that this has been a bad team. They have played bad football, but I don't know. When you start talking about soft, I mean, you're attacking somebody's professionalism and their pride and that kind of thing. And I don't know that you would want to go in that locker room and ask one of those players something like that.
No, I don't think so. I don't have the cojones to do that. I'll tell you that much. And then, this is Callahan sticking up for his players. And this is, he's presumably got next season already to think about. And the last thing you want is all off season, your team sitting there thinking, well, coach didn't have my back. Coach called us soft. This comes on the heels of about a month ago when Gerard Mayo literally called the Patriots soft. And we saw the fanfare that erupted then, and all the critics coming out and Belichick getting involved and saying, hey, whoa, this is not a soft team. It's almost kind of like a cardinal sin. So props to Callahan, like you said, for sticking up for his guys. He's been pretty outspoken at times with the media in his first season as a head coach. So another kind of refreshing, in a sense, comment from him as, he's standing up for his guys. And again, you're obviously thinking in the moment, these next couple games, these next couple of divisional weeks, but you're also, trying to maybe go ahead and set the tone for next year and kind of make sure that there's no qualms. This is not a soft football team.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned Gerard Mayo, because he might be the one coach out of 32 in the National Football League who would say that. I don't know how many coaches are going to respond to a question like that by saying, well, yeah, maybe they are a little soft. I don't think that's going to happen very often. So I don't know. Maybe Mayo said it to light a fire, or maybe he actually thinks it. I don't know. I will tell you that San Francisco linebacker Devondre Campbell may have been labeled as soft by some of his teammates after his antics last Thursday night. The 49ers have suspended Campbell for the remainder of the season after his refusal to go into the game last week against the Rams. And Wade, we've talked a time or two on the show about getting into people's pockets. This 3-game suspension is going to cost Mr. Campbell more than $250,000 and could potentially cost him as much as $873,000. He's going to lose $261,000 plus in salary. The team has the option to go after a $111,000 portion of his $3.35 million signing bonus. And because of playing time incentives that he's not going to reach, it gets up to $873,332 potentially. Probably should have just went in the game.
Yeah, this is a wild situation. And, John Lynch finally kind of broke the silence a little bit and gave, a pretty generic, suspending. It's kind of wild just reading, who knows what really, really went down and who knows exactly how it played out. But, hearing some reports, we're not going to waive him. We're just going to suspend him because we don't want the opportunity for somebody else to pick him up. It's kind of like the ultimate slap in the face and the ultimate, punishment in that regard. And, I just looked this up, but this is a guy that was an all-pro in 2021. So we're not talking about a real fringe caliber player. This is a guy that, because I'm thinking down the road, my immediate thought was, man, this is almost scarlet letter territory. Who knows if he gets picked up somewhere else, but this is a dude that actually was pretty capable. So the 49ers, like you said, no softness on our watch. If your number's called, you better be up.
13 games, 79 total tackles, 3 for loss prior to this. So, no, it's not like he was some slap. He was a productive dude for the 49ers and until he wasn't. And just a bad decision, man, in more ways than one, clearly. Chiefs earlier this week released former first-round draft pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back out of LSU. He had not been available for much of the season for Kansas City as he was dealing with some PTSD issues and some physical illness as a result of that, but placed on the non-football illness list over Labor Day weekend and had not played in a game all year. Was dealing with, again, PTSD that resulted in cyclic vomiting syndrome and has been hospitalized on a handful of occasions, dealing with dehydration, that kind of thing. But apparently the PTSD goes back to a shooting incident that took place while he was at LSU, where he wound up actually shooting and killing someone in a robbery attempt. The shooting was later determined to be justifiable force. Charges were never filed, but obviously that's something that would take a toll on you. So he has since re-signed with the Saints, and you wish him well, man. That's a tough situation for anybody to deal with, whether you're trying to install air conditioners or play football at a high level. So
yeah, always fun to watch him play. And if he's really wanting to pursue football going forward, I hope he has the chance and is able to do that to the best visibility, because that's a tough situation. And it seems like even though they had to part ways, it seems like both sides kind of went out on decent terms, which is about as good as you could hope for in this situation.
Yeah, he was very complimentary of the Chiefs as he left, and it seems like they did everything they could for him, but just the reality of it was, they had some people kind of pass him at running back, and he wasn't available. So it's definitely a what have you done for me lately type league, obviously. So again, wish him the best. Thursday night football tonight on Amazon Prime, AFC West matchup as the Denver Broncos go to Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, and the LA Chargers. The Broncos 9-5, Chargers 8-6. Couple of gunslingers in this one with Herbert and with the rookie Bo Nix.
A couple of gunslingers, but a couple of really good defenses. This is going to be one of those games that, kind of like last Thursday, Mo, where you got the Rams and the 49ers. I don't know that it will reach putrid levels of offense like we saw last week, but it's going to be pretty grim. Hopefully nobody's clinging to any of these teams and these players for their fantasy football playoff implications, because I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. The Chargers have kind of fallen from grace a little bit, man. They were flying high a couple weeks ago, and the doink, and then followed up with another loss this past week. They desperately need to right the ship, but Denver is quietly, they're not going to get the division, obviously, but Denver is surging, having won 4 in a row.
Yeah. There you have it. Again, you can see it on Amazon Prime. What is kickoff? 7:15?
7:15 tonight. It should be,
7:15.
like I said, it'll be probably an ugly game if you're looking for offense, but two really good defenses tonight. Should be fun.
There we go. Hour number 1 of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we return to the Lee Company Studios after this break, it'll be time for Throwback Thursday as we throw it back to our Monday conversation with Ryan McGee of ESPN and the SEC Network. Stick around after the break.
Nashville's Nutcracker returns to TPAC this December, presented by Nashville Ballet. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets at NashvilleBallet.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee, here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
And that's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios, and we are glad to have with us from ESPN and the SEC Network, the one, the only, Ryan McGee.
What's
Ryan,
up, guys?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I kind of got that. My wife told me yesterday. I kind of got that week 16 or whatever it is stare about me. Like, I think everybody's starting to realize that 12-team playoff is awesome, but it ain't doing much for my family life during the holidays. So before I go to Columbus, Ohio, and freeze my baguettes off, I'm trying to get my Christmas done.
Good luck with that. So you're going to be in Columbus this weekend. Where were you this past weekend?
I was at the house, and it was weird. first time I'd been home on a Saturday since like the third weekend of August, and I woke up. I'm like, "What are we going to do today?" My family was like, "Well, I don't know what you're going to do, but this is what we usually do." I watched Army Navy with my dad, which was great.
Okay.
Dad officiated. You know, you guys know my dad was a college referee for 40 years. He did 2 Army Navy games. I think it was 91 and 92. And so it's always fun. I don't ever get to watch football with him anymore because I'm always on the road. But he and I hung out, watched Army Navy, and he told a bunch of stories and while we watched the game, and it was great.
Very cool. I guess you watched the Heisman Trophy presentation after that, and we've not talked about it because I wanted to ask you this. Why does everybody hate Travis Hunter?
Because he plays for Deion Sanders. It's the strangest thing to me. I don't get it. And I tweeted this that night, which is, you know, anyone who doesn't like Travis Hunter has chosen not to actually try to get to know Travis Hunter, because all that kid does is he goes to campus and he takes his classes and he watches film and he gets his physical treatment and he works out, and then he goes back to his apartment where he lives with his fiance and they eat dinner, and then he watches more film, and then he might play a little bit of NCAA football on the PlayStation, and then he goes to bed. Like, that's it.
Then he gets up and does it again, huh?
That's it. And all his teammates do is, come on, let's go out. Let's go out. He's like, nope. I mean, even in New York, he wins the Heisman Trophy. He went out in Times Square and posed for all the pictures. And even after that, his teammate, let's go out. Let's go out. Nope, I'm going to bed. And he's the most boring kid you'll ever meet in the most positive way. And so, yeah, anyone who doesn't like him has just decided they're not going to like Colorado because of Deion Sanders, and they're not going to like anybody that plays for him. And I'm telling you right now, and Shedeur Sanders, same way. You go spend time with those guys and you see what they do on a day in, day out basis, then, you know, it would be very inconvenient for a lot of people that want to say they're showboats and what all this other stuff. And it's just not the truth.
The kid has a 4.0 on top of everything else.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing he goes and does outside of his apartment and campus is he goes fishing. That's it. So yeah, you couldn't have gone wrong with any of the finalists. I love Ashton Jeanty. I think if he'd won it, it would have been great. I love Dylan Gabriel. I've covered him at 3 different schools now. You know, right?
Which is another story.
Yeah. I love all those guys, and so but the thing, Marty and I say this all the time with Marty McGee, which is the most underappreciated aspect of this sport, college athletics in general, is how great these kids are. Like, the days of caveman football are done. Like, you can't just walk into the building and just athleticize your way through it. You got to study. You got to do the work. You got to do the work 24 hours a day. It's a full-time job. And so all of these guys, I mean, all those guys that were in New York, all those guys in that top 10 of the vote, I've gotten to spend time with, at least a little bit of time with all of them. And they're just, I wish people appreciated it more. They're just, Travis Hunter's bad news. He's a great guy. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, I feel like there are people that don't want to hear that, Ryan. Do you have a vote?
Yeah. Yep. And
who did you vote for?
Well, I haven't said it publicly, but my top 3 were the top 3 in the votes. Hunter to me was I sat there and just stared at it for the longest time, because to me it was between Jeanty and Hunter. And Ashton Jeanty, and rightfully so, was very disappointed, handled it very graciously, but he's got a chance to make noise. You know, one thing I love about this year is that, Boise State has for so long been carrying that banner for I call it the Gang of Five, right? The non-group of 5 or group of 4 conferences. And now, there's Boise State, and they had a guy who finished second to Heisman Trophy voting, and now they've got football to play, right? And they got a bye. They play second round. So I know, I'm smart enough to know that the system will end up rigged against them, because it's just the way the system always is. But for now, I'm really excited for Boise State and for that school and that program to finally, get their legit spot on the stage, and that includes having the guy that finished second in the Heisman voting.
Absolutely, Ryan. And kind of speaking of Boise State, two questions. Number one, it is great that Boise is in the position they're in, but I do feel a little cheated as a college football fan that they're not hosting a game.
Yeah.
I just feel like that would just be so electric.
On the blue turf.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I say this, man. We're going to have plenty of cold. I'm going to Columbus, and I have no idea what to pack because I'm not. And it's funny, too, though. You guys know this. I've been doing all these radio interviews about the playoff and everything, and I keep reminding everybody, Knoxville isn't exactly, Jamaica, right? It's not, it's not balmy in 85 there. Everybody acts like, I understand Nico's from Southern California, and a lot of those guys are from Florida and Texas and all that stuff, but Columbus isn't that far away from Knoxville, so it's going to be super, super cold. But it's not like it doesn't get cold in Knoxville. But between South Bend and Happy Valley and Columbus, this would be a good week to be selling long johns.
Good week to be selling long johns, and I feel like the committee is going to feel a little shafted if we don't get at least some snow in one of those games.
One of them, yeah.
Well, can I just say, as someone who's in Columbus, if they would like to have the snow in Notre Dame, that'd be great, because I don't really want it in Columbus. I'm good.
That makes total sense, and I'm kind of on board with you. Real quick, though, Ryan, I did want to ask you, backtrack on the Heisman. Is it disappointing in the sense that we had two such great guys, and, props to Gabriel and props to Ward for being there as well, but is it a function of just the programs and being out west? It just felt like this Heisman season and this campaign, maybe Hunter just ran away with it so early. It felt like it didn't have the oomph that we had in some previous Heisman runs.
Yeah, the oomph kind of happened in the middle of the year because, Genty really came. And he was on no one's short ballot at the start of the year. And then when we got to the middle of the season, and really it was like week 2 or whatever it was when Ashton Genty, the only game Boise lost was to Oregon. And it wasn't Ashton Genty's fault. I mean, he had a huge day that day. And so he kind of got on the radar. And the one little bit that we had was Travis Hunter saying, I think Ashton Genty's great, but I play both ways. And Ashton Genty saying, I think Travis Hunter's great, but my numbers are my numbers. And so there was a little bit of that in the middle of the year. But, yeah, it felt like that Hunter got posted such a big lead by the middle of the season that it was impossible for Genty to catch up. But wasn't it great, though? I mean, again, kid from Colorado, kid from Boise, kid from Miami, kid from Oregon, and you got and what all those guys have played somewhere else except for Genty, within the last couple of years. It was kind of it was an interesting cross section of modern college football. And I know the SEC people are mad and the Tennessee people are mad that there wasn't a representative of the conference up there, but it's just kind of one of those years where to me, those four are from those different regions and from those very backgrounds. It was very representative of what the season's been.
Well, and the guy that was anointed from the SEC just jumped off a building. I mean, Carson Beck was just awful.
Yeah, no,
all year.
And listen, I've said this all year. Jalen Milroe, when he was good, he was good. When he was bad, he was really bad. And you could say the same thing, when you look at Texas, and you can say the same thing when you look. There's a lot of places. There are a lot of these quarterbacks. Nico, when they were good, they were really good, but their games were really flawed. And when they look bad, they look bad. And so that's part of why this year has been so inside out, because again, you go back and look at everyone's Heisman shortlist at the start of the year, and really the only one that was still standing, that was the guy who won it. Everybody else kind of crashed the party a little bit. And so, yeah, you're right. It's just, and to me, that's part of what makes the playoffs so interesting, because I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Quinn Ewers right now if I'm a Texas fan. And I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Carson Beck if he ends up playing in the playoff. I just think, and Nico's gotten off to such slow starts in the first half. And Ohio State has the biggest payroll this side of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they couldn't score against Michigan. So it's an interesting year for that.
Ryan McGee of ESPN and the SEC Network joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Going to be freezing in Columbus this weekend. And speaking of quarterbacks who have not played great, You know, you talk about Ohio State and that payroll, and Will Howard is I don't know who's going to get run out of town quicker if they don't win this game, him or his coach.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah, it's tense. And Marty was just up there. Reese Davis was there yesterday. I talked to Reese this morning, and it's tense. You know, it's tense, but it's focused. And so, you know, so what do you do with that? And the reality is we made a really, really big deal, and rightfully so, about the fact that they spent so much money to assemble particularly that offense. And there's Chip Kelly, right, who's I just want to focus on football. And this year, you know, a very typical, you know, kind of backloaded Big Ten schedule. First half of the year, that offense was great. And the second half of the year, when the schedule got tight, they weren't. And so it is really a something's got to give matchup, because, again, you guys know this. Tennessee has struggled to get going in the first half, including the Vanderbilt game. And if they take too long to get going, the hole might be too deep. But Ohio State has done the opposite. Ohio State will put up points early, and in the second half, they just kind of check out on you. And so I'm really, really curious to see what happens. And then you throw in the fact that, you know, it's supposed to be, by the time we hit halftime, it's going to be about 19 degrees. I'm curious to see how that affects. Listen, Ohio State's nervous about that too. You know, when we talk to the people at Ohio State, what they're telling you is worrying about the sprinkler system's going to freeze and explode. You know, and worrying about the plumbing in the toilets and all this stuff that they don't play football there in December. And so it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the building reacts, but how the crowd reacts, because it's kind of like the Georgia crowd in Atlanta last weekend, or at this championship game. If things go south just a little bit, the horseshoe crowd might turn on Ryan Day. And when that happens, you know, that could be Tennessee's best friend in the second half.
And, you know, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal that Kyle McCord finished 10th in the Heisman.
Yeah. No, I like the way you phrase it. I'm going to steal that. It is a big deal, but it's not a big deal. Well, that's the perfect. So it's almost like you're a writer, Patton.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, when you've got Fran Brown thanking Ohio State and Ryan Day for his quarterback after the Miami win and different stuff like that, I mean, there's a lot of reason for it to be tense in Columbus right now.
Yeah, well, and Twitter didn't help. Of course, Twitter didn't help anything, but Twitter didn't help either when everybody was reminding everyone that, you know, the only class members from Ohio State's big, you know, legendary recruiting class, 3 years ago, the only ones that beat Michigan are the guys that are playing at other schools. And so, yeah, you know, they already really don't like me in Columbus, and for varied reasons that I can't explain. That's the only place where ESPN's had to assign like a security person just to me, based on something I didn't even actually write for ESPN magazine, but it got attached.
You don't have to. You don't have to write it though.
I had a friend that worked for Nationwide Insurance, and she had like a Match.com date. And when the guy found out she knew me, he got up and walked off. That's how much they love me in Columbus. But you add that to the fact that I'm going to be holding an SEC network microphone on the sideline.
Should go over well.
Yeah, you guys, anybody got any extra tasers? You might want to send those to Columbus for me.
Man, hey, Ryan, you mentioned Will Howard. Do we have an injury update on that guy? Because he did not look great at all in that second half versus Michigan after leaving a couple plays with an injury.
Well, I don't. You know, I'm gonna dive into my Ohio State research on the way up there. But it's but you know, everybody right now with these availability reports, it's got like the NFL. We're playing it all super close to the vest. But I don't have one, but I'm with you. He did not look great in that second half. And the reality is that you can have all the great skill players that you want. Somebody's got to get the ball to him. And and if he couldn't, I'm not sure who's going to do it.
Ryan McGee joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Ryan, given your Carolina background, we would be remiss if we did not ask you about the coaching hire that took place in the Atlantic Coast Conference last week. What are your thoughts on Belichick to Carolina?
Well, and I wrote this last week in a column. You know, and you're right. I was born in North Carolina. I'll be buried here. I grew up in Triangle. My dad was an ACC official, and I've always understood that the University of North Carolina Tar Heels have always been on the Mount Rushmore of how are they not better at football, right? There's so you look at the rosters at Tennessee and at Georgia and Florida State, these players, Clemson. There's so many North Carolina players, and so there's a lot of talent in the state. But for whatever reason, even with the money and the resources and the brand name and all that, the last conference championship won by in Chapel Hill was in 1980. Lawrence Taylor was on the team. They've had one 10-win season this century. The biggest win in the history of the program was probably the 1981 Gator Bowl. So I say all that to say this. Why not take a swing at Bill Belichick? I mean, because everything else you've done hasn't worked, right? Bringing Mac Brown back, bringing in Butch Davis. They burned Larry Fedora's promising career to the ground. Like it's just always been this generic football program, and it's never made any sense. So why not, right? Especially if we keep calling college football NFL light and AAA NFL, whatever else. If we got teams have general managers now. Ohio State's had a general manager for years. Well, now, okay, let's see if it'll work. And everyone's going to be watching this, because if Bill Belichick can't make it work in Chapel Hill, then no one's going to. And oh, by the way, North Carolina is the great wild card when it comes to the next round of re-11. Like, that's the one everyone wants. They're the program. But if they're not any good at football, what's the point of it? So there's a lot riding on this thing, and their collective that spends all that money on basketball has decided they're going to commit a lot of money to football for now. And but this is it. I would call it a Hail Mary, but it's North Carolina, so we'll call it a half-court heave. Try it. If it doesn't work, whatever. Nothing else worked.
But again, to your point, Ryan, the fact that they are a basketball school, how much does that impact the fact that they've not really been able to hit it big in football?
Well, my dad was an ACC referee, and when I was growing up, a lot of years he had the North Carolina Duke game at the end of the season, or the North Carolina NC State game at the end of the season. And I can't tell you guys how many times I saw, third quarter, tight game, and everyone got up and started leaving the stadium. And the reason was because the basketball team was on TV, or the basketball team had an exhibition game against Athletes in Action or something. But as soon as the basketball team started playing, nobody cared. And so that's my question for Bill Belichick 3 years from now will be, all these bankers and tobacco farmers and all these furniture makers, these North Carolinians who promised all this NIL money and have pledged it all for you to take this job, are they going to, after 2 years and they're back in the Mayo Bowl, are they just going to go, forget this. Why am I spending this money on football when I can spend it on a power forward out of San Diego? So I'm curious to see if they're willing to stick it out long term. Because if they don't turn it around like Colorado did or like Arizona State did, they're going to wonder, what went wrong, and they're going to go back to the basketball court. I
was not expecting an Athletes in Action reference on our show.
See, I knew you guys would get it. I'll never forget it was Dick Crumb's last game. He was the winningest coach at North Carolina until Mac Brown came back, and I remember I get him leaving again. Like, where's everybody going? And North Carolina had a basketball game against it was Athletes in Action or the Czechoslovakian national team or something, game that didn't count.
Marathon Oil.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. They were all headed to the Dean Dome, by God. Why would I watch football when I could go watch the Athletes in Action?
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan McGee of ESPN and the SEC Network. I guess the SEC Network Friday night. So are you actually investing? Are you packing warm weather stuff? Are you going to get it when you get up there, or how are you attacking this?
I'm packing everything I've got. I tell you a trick I learned talking about my dad as a referee. When my dad was an official in the Big East, when they started Big East football in 1990 or 91, whatever it was.
Talk about staying warm.
He'd go work games at West Point and Boston College and Pitt and Syracuse and these places, in the middle of the winter or middle of fall in November. And all those Northeastern officials will start putting on suntan lotion, like sunscreen. And Dad's like, what are you guys doing? But he learned if you put on sunscreen, it works like an insulation, like it keeps you warm. And so Marty and I were somewhere last year, and it was freezing cold, like Auburn. I started putting on suntan lotion. They're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Trust me." And so it works. So I'll be taking my SPF and my Nomex up to Columbus, and we'll see how that goes.
Keep us posted. You'll have to come back and let us know if it worked.
Yeah. Well, if you never hear from me again, it's because my tongue froze to the roof of my mouth. But if it doesn't, I'll call you guys.
Sounds good. Ryan, we appreciate you taking some time with us, man. I would say stay warm, but it sounds like it's fighting a losing battle. Try not to get too cold. And we look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
He shoots, and he scores!
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, anytime we get Ryan McGee on, it's never a dull moment. Always love spending time with that guy.
He said you should be a writer, Patton.
He did say that. I should give that some thought for sure.
He's quick-witted, man. I love catching up with Ryan.
I should be a writer. This next guy is a writer. 15-time Virginia Sports Writer of the Year award winner from the National Sports Media Association. He is a member of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame and the U.S. Basketball Writers Hall of Fame. So when this guy writes it, you can believe it. Welcome to the show, David Teal of the Virginia-Pilot. talking about a football coaching change up at Norfolk State. David, appreciate you spending some time with us, man.
My pleasure, guys. Happy holidays to you both.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you as well. Norfolk State got a gift or is getting a gift. What is the holdup, David, on the announcement of Michael Vick as their new football coach?
Your guess is as good as mine. I've been texting with my coworkers throughout the last 48 hours and wondering the same. I mean, Michael has announced it on Facebook, and a couple members of his prospective staff have been out there on social media talking about their presumed roles. So I'm not sure what's going on at Norfolk State, but this is more attention than the Spartans are accustomed to. I can assure you that.
It's Facebook official though, so we can roll with it, right?
Well, I mean, Michael told me on Monday that he had interviewed for the job and said it was going to be resolved soon. And then Tuesday, after we reported that he had signed his contract, he confirmed it on his Facebook. So I think when you hear it from the source, that's pretty good.
That's typically pretty good. Yeah. And David, personal note, I've kind of been following you since maybe since Allen Iverson was in school up there. I mean, it's really an honor to have you on. But I say that to say this: you are deeply ingrained in that area in particular. Definitely know where the bodies are buried up there, figuratively and maybe literally. I don't know. But what do you like about this hire for Norfolk State?
Well, I think it's the wow factor, right? And now the school and Michael in tandem have to make it work. And that means the university devoting the resources necessary to the program for it to be successful. And then Michael, who has never coached before, rolling up his sleeves and getting to work. And those who know him well assure me that that is indeed his intention. But as we all know, the results will prove all.
And David, real quick, David, I wanted to ask you, you brought up an interesting point. Is Norfolk State ready for the wow factor? Because based on just the way we kind of walked into this conversation, Jackson State seemed like they were maybe as prepared as could be for Dion, but is Norfolk State ready for this big of a jump in your mind?
Great question. I would say right now the jury is out, and perhaps coming back with an unflattering verdict. It baffles me why they haven't confirmed, or because this is good news, I would think. And the portal is open and guys are making decisions. And Michael Vick has been out there reaching out to prospects and current members of the program. Number one, trying to lure some more talent in, and number two, trying to retain some of the players who are here. And why the school hasn't chimed in, I think only they know, and will be a question for when we finally have the news conference.
David KEEL of the Virginian-Pilot joining us here on Main Street Sports today. You mentioned, David, obviously Michael has never coached before, and obviously it's going to be incumbent on him to put together a staff full of experienced folks. And you mentioned a couple of folks have already indicated that they are going to be joining him. What do you think of who is supposedly joining him at this point, and of his ability to, put together a staff that can help him be successful in this new role?
Well, how's that staff going to be compensated, right? that usually plays a role. Two people who have been out there indicating that they will be a part of this are, number one, former NFL offensive lineman Elton Brown, who played at the University of Virginia and then later with the Arizona Cardinals. He is currently with the Apprentice School, a local college program here. And then Tommy Riemann, who was Michael's high school coach at Ferguson and Warwick High Schools. He played in the Canadian League. He played collegiately at Missouri. And Tommy is a staple of football around here. I am no spring chicken, but Coach Raymond's older than I. And Tommy recently retired as the coach at Denby High School in Newport News, perhaps knowing that this opportunity was going to come along. And he's been part of Michael's life for an awfully long time. And it's not a surprise at all to learn that the Tommy will be an integral part of the Norfolk State experience under Michael.
You know, David, I noticed that the article that you had on Tuesday breaking this did not mention Michael's issues. And I'm sure that was intentional for some reason or another. Can you kind of take me through the thought process behind that?
Sure. And I think it's a very fair question. We wrote a story the previous day breaking the news that Michael had interviewed for the job where his legal past was prominently mentioned. Okay. So when we wrote the second piece, the thinking was, why belabor the point? We all know it's there. Mm-hmm. It will be raised surely at the news conference because the powers that be that are making this hire had to have, number one, vetted him, and number two, gone to their constituents and say, are we okay with this? And guys, it's been more than 15 years since all that went down. And Michael paid his dues, and to my way of thinking, has very gracefully gotten his life back together and made amends. And we'll see how it goes. You know, we'll see what the public reaction will be. Mm-hmm. But based on the response that we've gotten at the Daily Press and the Virginian-Pilot, I would say a vast majority is positive.
Okay. All right. I figured that it was something along those lines, but I certainly wanted to ask because this is the first time that we've really had an opportunity to discuss it with anybody. And you know, on a personal note, I'd agree. It's 15 years. Everybody knows. You feel like he's done what he needs to do to atone for it. Let's move forward. And clearly it sounds like the officials at Norfolk State came to that same conclusion.
Certainly it does appear so. And, you know, guys, there was a lot of, I don't know if controversy is the right word, but debate about Roger Goodell reinstating Mike, and then Jeffrey Lurie and Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagles bringing him back into the NFL fold and giving him that chance at first to back up Donovan McNabb. And then the following season, lo and behold, McNabb gets hurt and Michael is the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. And, you know, then he went on and played for the Jets and the Steelers as he closed out his career. But there has not been, at least to my knowledge, a hint of scandal in Mike's professional or personal life since.
What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
People talk about the fact that he has not coached, and we mentioned this when we were discussing this the last couple of days. Michael Vick has not coached, but he has played for Andy Reid. He's played for Michael Tomlin, who is another Hampton Roads product as well. I mean, to have not coached, he's certainly been around some good ones.
Guys, he played for a college football Hall of Famer and Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. If you look at Tommy Reeman's track record here on the peninsula, he coached Aaron Brooks, Pro Bowl quarterback. He coached Michael Vick. He coached Marcus Vick and sent scores of players on to college football. Michael has been around really good coaches. He interned with Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe it was back in 2017 during training camp. Tony Dungy is among those who have mentored Mike since his legal entanglements. To your point, he has played for and been around exceptional coaching minds. And guys, his first coach in the NFL was Dan Reeves. He's pretty good too.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Not a bad list. David, I'm curious, what does a win for Norfolk State with this hire look like? Is it just the buzz factor? How many do they need to revolutionize this program into a big contender at the FCS level? I'm curious what they value internally, maybe as a win, or is it just simply kind of getting them back to some sort of relevance nationally, I guess?
I think relevance within their own conference and region, guys. The bar is low. The last coach to leave the Norfolk State position with a winning record was Willard Bailey, who coached this program from 1984 to 1992. It's been a minute, guys.
I noticed, that the last 5 Norfolk State coaches have left with losing records, but I had not done that mathematical legwork. So it's been more than 30 years since they've had a guy leave with a winning record. So that's, like you said, the bar is kind of low there, I guess. And the MEAC as a conference is right. Kind of having its struggles as well, right?
Woo. Yeah, you've only got 6 football playing members, which leaves you with only 5 conference games, which really ratchets up the difficulty of non-conference scheduling. And how do you navigate that? That's a minefield for every athletic director out there. So how many FBS games do you money games do you play and subject your players to? Because chances are they're going to take a bit of a beating, and so it's going to be the whole thing is going to be fascinating to watch unfold.
I think so. And real quickly, David, I'm also curious on Mike Vick's end of this. It doesn't seem, I don't have a way to quantify this, but it doesn't seem as if he's already looking past this job, to bigger and better things. But I'm curious, what is a win for him, and kind of maybe what are his real aspirations and goals from what you've kind of been able to glean or gather thus far?
Guys, this is home for Mike. And he has always enjoyed and taken pride in giving back to this community. And I really believe, from talking to him over the years and talking to some in his inner circle over the past couple of days, that is his primary focus. Now, if he knocks it out of the park like Dion did at Jackson State, is there a chance that a big-time FBS program would come after him? I guess there is. And given the money in those positions, my goodness, he'd be a fool not to consider it. But I believe right now he does not view this as a stepping stone.
David Keel of the Virginian-Pilot joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. David, really appreciate you taking some time with us and sharing some thoughts on the impending hiring of Michael Vick as the next football coach at Norfolk State. And I know you'll be glad for them to finally get this done officially so that you can kind of get it out of your hair. But thanks for taking some time with us.
My pleasure, guys. Again, happy holidays to you and all your viewers.
Absolutely.
Thank you as well. When we come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports today, it's the final segment of the show. It is the grab bag. Stay tuned after this.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new, handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and it is the grab bag, where we kind of tie up some loose ends across the sports landscape here in the final segment of the show. And let's start with some news that came across kind of while we were on the air yesterday, but just didn't really have time or bandwidth to get it on. But the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame as of next year will include Belmont legend Betty Wiseman, the longtime women's basketball coach at that school, will be honored with the Valley's Paul Morrison Award at the annual MVC Hall of Fame ceremony in St. Louis in early March. And she will be inducted into that conference's Hall of Fame along with Bruce Weber of Southern Illinois and Lisa Bluter of Drake. Bruce Weber went on to coach at Illinois, among other places. Lisa Bluter just retired this past year after an illustrious career at Iowa. Total of 6 inductees will be honored at the conference's Hall of Fame ceremony in March in conjunction with the league's men's basketball tournament. So, great honor for a great lady. She's been around Belmont for more than 6 decades, starting as a student. Yeah, starting as a student and then 50 years as a professor, coach, and athletics administrator. Yeah, Portland, Tennessee native, but taught there for 40 years. Again, founded the women's basketball program at Belmont and coached that team for 16 years, going 247 and 151. She was inducted into the Belmont Hall of Fame in 1981. She is also a member of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame and The athletic administration offices on the Belmont campus are the Strickland Wiseman Athletic Office Complex. And she's done it all over there and done it well. So congratulations to her.
Absolutely. Speaks to her overarching, kind of impact on that school, that the fact that Belmont, kind of the new kids on the block, but even the MVC is kind of recognizing the contributions that she has made. So that is cool to see.
Absolutely. We talked about the Predators 2-0 win against the Rangers on Tuesday night. They'll try to double up and actually put together a streak when the Penguins come to town tonight. Pittsburgh coming in 14-14-5. The Preds 9-17-6. Newsflash, that's not good. I don't know how many times this team has won back-to-back this year, or if this team has won back-to-back this year.
Don't know, but it feels like a low number, right? And be nice to get a little mojo going. If you get one tonight, who did we say they got the Kings coming in on Saturday, and then you got the Hurricanes coming in on Monday, and Saturday, if you go to the game, Mo, it's the Tim McGraw bobblehead night. So if you like it, you love it. Maybe the Preds will hook you up. You can see, hopefully, Nashville on a little bit of a winning streak on Saturday.
They won back-to-back games. They won 3 in a row. Now, wait a minute. Is this?
Well, let's not get carried away now.
Yeah, exactly. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. They defeated Boston. That was their first win of the season. Won 4-0 against Boston here. Then they went to Chicago and won 3-2. And then they came home and defeated the Blue Jackets 3-2 in overtime. So they've won 9 games, and 3 of them were in succession.
I'm seeing that now. Yeah, they were in a little bit of a roll then. Maybe we can channel some good vibes to get that going here starting tonight.
Yeah, maybe we can pretend Halloween is coming or something. Maybe it's a holiday thing. Maybe it's close enough to Christmas and a holiday.
That's something.
Yeah. So, that's a 7 o'clock puck drop down at Bridgestone, and we will be keeping an eye on that, obviously. New Orleans Bowl tonight. Georgia Southern plays Sam Houston. The Eagles 8-4. The Bearcats with a K 9-3 coming into that one. I think Sam Houston just hired a coach here not too long ago to replace Casey Keeler, who took over the program at Temple. I doubt that whoever the new coach is will be coaching tonight, but I do
say roll them in there. Just go ahead. Imagine that. Just like, hey, I'm here. I don't know who any of these people are, but this is what we're going to roll with.
Former North Carolina offensive coordinator Sam Houston. That's the school. Phil Longo. Excuse me. Former North Carolina offensive assistant Phil Longo will be.
You got me excited thinking Sam Houston was going
to. Sam Houston's going to coach Sam Houston.
Yeah, that was going to coach them. Yeah, that'd be epic. You're on Georgia Southern -6 tonight, and I'm on Sam Houston. So we'll be butting heads this evening. I'll be probably keeping tabs a little bit on the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl.
Certainly. It never disappoints. Some portal news. We talked about Jake Dickert leaving Washington State to take the Wake Forest job yesterday. The quarterback at Washington State, John Mateer, had gone into the portal earlier this week after leading all of college football with 44 total touchdowns. Well, Mateer is now a Sooner. He has committed to, can they sign yet? I don't know what the timing on that is, but he's certainly headed to Oklahoma. So,
Jackson Arnold, where do we say is Auburn? Is that where he's
Jackson
going?
Arnold is at Auburn.
Auburn.
Yeah, right. Jackson Arnold is at Auburn. Also at Auburn, former Lipscomb Academy for that long, quarterback Deuce Knight, before he transferred back to Mississippi, finished up his high school career down there. But he signed with Auburn earlier this month, and also transfer from Stanford Ashton Daniels is at Auburn. So Hugh Freeze just collecting all the quarterbacks. And I guess he feels like if we get enough, one will work. 2 Auburn backups are in the transfer portal, and Peyton Thorne is gone as well. But, I don't necessarily being the answer as meh at best as he was at Oklahoma.
Yeah, you might be onto something when you talk about Freeze just stockpiling these guys and see if one of them is any good, see if one of them can help you win some games, or maybe he's going, kind of like me, Monopoly, right? If I'm getting all these quarterbacks, some other teams aren't getting them. They may not be any good, but guess what? They ain't gonna be. They'll be riding my bench and not starting for you, I suppose.
Wonder how hard Hugh Freeze goes after Diego. Of course, Diego's got to get in the portal first. But I mean, after being he's 0-2 against him now, 0-3, because Pavia beat him at Liberty, right? And then at Auburn, and then this year at Auburn. So I'm pretty sure Freeze is 0-3 against Pavia.
Yeah, he needs to do some work, and twofold. Number one, like I said, I don't want to be negative Nancy, but man, we live in a wild world, and Pavia can tweet out everything he wants, but if the bag is somewhere else, the whole point we just talked about a couple weeks ago when we first brought this story to everybody's attention was, maybe this guy's not going pro, so secure as much money as you can now. Well, if that's your strategy, highest bidder maybe type situation. On the other hand, man, it seems really cool and really refreshing to kind of get some good news. Vanderbilt's getting transfers from everywhere. They got one from Texas, I believe I read, one from Alabama. I mean, what kind of world are we living in? And then Pavia, even if he ends up still at Vanderbilt, you might as well put your name in the portal. Just like I said, just there's a little bargaining power. Maybe.
Just to see what's out there. Yeah. And here's the thing. If he finishes his career at Vanderbilt, I don't know that they will necessarily put up a statue, but I mean, this is a guy, given the state of this program historically, he may not have to worry about anything ever in Nashville. So
seems like that kind of guy. It'd be cool to watch. If he comes back, it'll be fun. He'll be one of the electric players, and Vanderbilt instantly kind of on a little bit of team's radar heading into next year too.
Absolutely. With the college football playoffs coming up this week, Penn State will have a different backup heading into its matchup with SMU because QB2 Bo Pribula is in the portal as well. And as we talked with somebody earlier this week who pointed out how upset James Franklin was with this situation, and understandably so, but it's not the kid's fault. I mean, the portal is open, and if he wasn't coming back, he had to get in it and see what's out there for him. So
yeah, we could talk more on this because this is multifaceted, right? This is kind of what dinged Michigan last year. You're in some regards, you're kind of penalized by being good because the portal, all the business gets conducted while you're still trying to worry about winning games. And this is a dude that, he is the backup, but they run some stuff for him. So, man,
Right.
that's going to be interesting to see. I still think they'll probably be okay versus SMU, but man, it'd be nice to have those extra packages in your back pocket the further you get in this thing potentially.
yeah, it kind of goes back to Nick Saban being upset about being in the championship game because of the time he was missing recruiting, right? So it's a different world out here these days. And the recruiting, the portal situation has also struck here pretty close to home, as former Ravenwood standout Chris Parson got into the portal from Mississippi State and is now at Austin Peay. So quarterbacks moving all over the place. Something to keep an eye on for sure. That's going to do it here for Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Join us tomorrow at 2:00 when our guests are Landon Seacrest talking a little NBA and Chris Lowe talking a little college football. Again, we'll see y'all right here at 2:00.